Howdy, howdy, everybody. It's me, an overdose on antihistamines. No, wait. Antihistamines, yes.
And it's me, the devil that says it's time to party.
Hell yeah. And welcome to the Hell's Party venue, Nerd Hell, where we're just a bunch of nerds talking about things that we care about that you definitely won't. Speaking of the things you won't care about, I had a nice week.
Great. What happened?
It was my birthday, my birthmas.
Yeah.
And I went to this place called Black Bear Diner. And fantastic place. I've never been there before. They had biscuits the size of my fist, right? These things were as big as softballs. And they were amazing. The gravy there was good.
Wow.
And
yeah, good gravy is usually like a good indicator of like a better diner place.
It was sausage gravy.
Because like really bad gravy, you're just kind of like, yeah, fuck this place. I hate this place. And they could have like the best pancakes ever, but gravy is kind of an indicator of like overall food quality.
Because
I find
because it could very well just be water with pepper in it.
Whoa, yeah.
Like
there is that kind of thing, right?
Oof. So one of my birthday traditions is I like eating breakfast alone because I just want to eat my food and not talk to anybody.
Really?
It's fun.
Really?
I just show up by myself. I eat 3 entrees and I leave. It's beautiful.
Dude, that was essentially my entire college experience. I don't know how you get that. Like how that's fun for you, because that was, essentially me in college. I was like, man, I wish there was someone I could talk to. Well, I better eat this fucking burrito that I made for breakfast from the Penland Suite, and then I'm gonna go to my environmental class, which was a fucking awful class to take anyways. I hated that professor, but still, wrong story for that. But I'm glad. So it's your birthday. So did you have anything, like, what did you get for your birthday?
I got myself a worthy opponent, a 2 entree meal with an extra side of biscuits and gravy, which super good. And I got myself Metroid Dread. Well, I just got that on Friday. So far, fantastic goddamn game. I will say I only got super stuck once, but that it was like a Metroid moment where I'm like, oh. Okay, this wall looks like the same as every other wall in this game. How would I know that I needed to shoot it? But hey, only one Metroid moment so far, and I played for like 6 hours, so good on them.
Wow, great.
Yo, Metroid Dread is sick.
Metroid Dread, okay. Hey, man, like, I don't know. That sounds awesome. I haven't played a Metroid game since, like, well, never. I've never played a Metroid game. Dude, I don't know. Well, happy birthday, man. Mazel tov.
Thank you.
That's pretty fun. I'm sure it sounds like you had some fun there, too. Did you get, like, some calls from your family, parents, like all those people?
Absolutely. Parents, sisters. That's about it, yeah.
I could just see Gabby or Dakota's calling her like, hey, happy birthday, and then hung up.
They all sing the Las Mañanitas to me, which,
did they?
Yeah, which, I kind of just, like, take the phone away from my ear.
Oh, really? It's cringe. It's too cringy for you?
It's not cringe.
Their love and affection is cringe to Robinson.
So, I've heard this song. I've been alive for about 22 years, right? And I have 4 younger siblings. So, I've heard this song, like, over 50 times. And every time it just burrows deeper into my ear like a Christmas candle.
Mm-hmm. Damn. Well, that sounds like a personal problem, man.
All right, well, how about you? How about your week,
Okay, so, I mean, it was okay, right?
Yeah.
They were just, like, announcing that we're going to have to be doing, like, a whole lot more testing on the students. So that kind of fucking sucks, right? Because I'm here just like, oh, okay. Getting into the move, getting into the groove, we're doing our shit, and then all of a sudden they're like, hey, by the way, remember how, we're kind of worried about testing and everything? Well, guess what? We're going to add some more tests on top of it, and then we're going to not only make the tests, like, more, but we're going to, in a couple of years, make the state testing harder. So
Why?
I know, right? And it was one of those things of, so y'all are just going to decide to make this harder 1 year rather than just like start in elementary school and then like move up with the kids and make the test harder as they progress to middle school, as they progress to high school. Instead of doing that, they're just going to like, nope, we're just going to go ahead and make everything more difficult because fuck them. That's why.
I don't see the point in this. What's the point?
No.
Because if it's like if we have like 100% graduation rate, sure, make things harder. But I know that's not the case. I don't even need to look it up. I know that's not the case.
Yeah. Well, I mean, hey, it's one of those things of there's a lot of people on the Texas Board of Education that aren't even actual like teachers or were never part of a teacher's anything. And if you go to a lot of the websites that have the board members and their list of board members, they're actual like dentists or they're like business accountants. They're not actually in education, nor have they ever been in education. They just, propagated the species by having a child and then thought, hey, well, I have a child, therefore that means I know everything about how to teach a child.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. But
New
other than that,
new school policy: teachers will all be given belts, studded belts.
No, we won't. We won't do that. Honestly, I hate this whole notion of like back in a couple of years, like when people were like, you know what we should do to help school safety is give teachers guns. I was like, that's a terrible idea. It's like, hey, you know the most stressful job in the world where people drop out, within the first 5 years, and it's like 50% of teachers drop out within their first year, and then another 50% drop out after that within the first 5 years. So if you make it past the first 5 years, you're like weird, right? You're basically an insane person that has all the patience in the world. So, I don't know, dude. Like, there are definitely some shitty teachers there, but I could also see how giving someone a gun and a stressful job with a high burnout rate would not be something that you want to do.
Have you seen Assassination Classroom?
I have seen Assassination Classroom.
And
I'll tell you right now.
We need to figure out how to like put the squid virus into teachers.
Sure.
That's how we got to do it.
Yeah. Well, still, enough about kind of like that and my complaining and shit, right? Because they already hear it enough like through the podcast. But I don't know. I watched the new Dave Chappelle special and I was not excited. I was not happy about it. So that was the other thing that I kind of watched this week was that was my two big events, was the news that we're getting more testing, and then I watched the Dave Chappelle special, and I cringed, like, really hard. Like, cringe. Like, not in a good way. Like, this is apparently Dave Chappelle's kind of venture into, I'm transitioning into a rich douchebag, and I don't care who knows it.
I haven't seen it yet, but I love Dave Chappelle. This is like literally my first time hearing it. So what, there's a new Netflix special?
Yeah, there's a new Netflix special. Ooh. And so the whole thing that I like, it was like, okay, ha ha ha. Like some of them were just like really old recycled material. But then he gets into his thing about transgender people, and he basically rips into the trans community for like 40 minutes of the special, and then essentially relates it to that he is a TERF, which for those of you who don't know, a TERF is a trans radical or trans exclusionary radical feminist, which means that you are a feminist who thinks that people who are transgender, if you're a man, are trying to secretly come into the feminist side and then control things. And then if you're a trans man, then you're just a woman who's lost their way, right? So a lot of his thing, he just basically said there nonchalant, not even without joking, just was like, yeah, no, I'm a TERF. And that's kind of problematic.
Knowing Dave Chappelle, I'd have to watch it first because like everybody was mad about sticks and stones, but I didn't think there was nothing wrong with sticks and stones.
No, dude, like I watched the thing. I can tell you right now, it was not even in context, actually with context, it's a lot worse. With context, it's a lot worse than it is outside of context. It's like,
I'm gonna still watch it. I
no,
love
I'm
Dave Chappelle.
seriously, go watch it, go find it, go do it, go watch it. I'm just going to tell you, it's not great. It is not great. It's one of those things of, I think that he's essentially becoming a boomer before our eyes.
I mean, isn't he like 60 now?
Yeah. I mean, he might as well be a fucking boomer.
Good for him.
So,
Good for him.
yeah.
What's that?
Good.
What was that Texas show he did where he took a cigarette off of somebody in the stands and then he sat down on one of the stage lights and he's like, "I'm tired. I'm just sit right here."
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
I don't know. It's like, it kind of felt lazy, to be honest. Like, he hasn't really done new material recently. So it's essentially the same old jokes. It's that one joke kind of policy, but still, yeah. It was disappointing. I was sad because I like Dave Chappelle. Like, what is it? His 842 that he did back in 2020, in the summer of 2020, when they talked about, like, he did his 8-minute and 24 or 42-second like rant about like black rights in America, and I was like, damn, that's it was good. It was powerful. It was amazing.
I mean, he kind of does that in every show, in all his comedy shows.
Yeah, but also I think it's one of those things of, if you take someone who's an edgy comic, and you see that a lot of edgy comics that are really popular that don't really face a lot of criticism is because they're not punching down. They're always punching up, right? They're always punching up against something else above them.
See, I don't like that.
It just felt like Dave was just punching down.
Oh, I don't like that term
minutes.
because as a tall person, I only get punched up. And that makes me sad.
Yeah, I know. Well, also, you're just still... It was great because then I got to watch another comedian who was talking about, like, how... who just were basically, like, are talking about how a lot of offensive comics will do things that would just basically, like, for 30 minutes, they'll sit there and just, like, rip into, like, minorities and be like, what? It's a joke. You aren't challenged enough? Is it challenging for you that I'm questioning? And just, like, made fun of the whole concept of, like, jokes being protected because they're comedians, right? I don't know. I'm conflicted, really. I am. I'm like really conflicted about this one because it's one of those of, I get that a lot of his like social commentary is really biting for a reason and it's biting to be that way. But for this time, I honestly don't think that Dave's social commentary actually landed the way that it should. And instead of kind of like workshopping it and being like, you know what comedians usually do, which is if a joke doesn't land, they try to figure out how to get it better. He's like doubling down right now. So it's like making it kind of like, okay, dude, just like put in the work.
Well,
like you got to make money. So put in the work, my guy.
Well, like he said in previous comedy specials, and so I kicked her right in the pussy.
Yeah,
and
sure. Still, speaking of people who got kicked right in the pussy, did you know that like the Dragon Quest guy died?
From a kick to the balls?
Well, no. So Dragon Quest composer Koichi Sugiyama passed away at the age of 90. He passed away on September 30th, 2021, but obviously they didn't release the press statement until just like, what was it? 4 days ago. So the announcement was made on the Dragon Quest website in Dragon Quest Japan, but obviously it came around. And as someone who's like honestly a fan of Dragon Quest, like, you know, really a fan of Dragon Quest, I liked Koichi Sugiyama's like music. It's great. It's honestly one of the best things like out there. He's known for being like a literal genius. He's up there with like Yoko Kanno and Koji Kondo as far as like music composers go. But a lot of people were actually kind of okay with the news of this passing. And I know that it sounds really bad, but so Robinson, do you know anything about like copyright in Japan?
No, nothing about copyright. Yeah, no, I don't. I was gonna make a joke about how it's not enforced, but that's China.
Yeah. Well, it's the opposite. It's actually quite well enforced, almost to the extreme, to the point that like a lot of Dragon Quest games got released with, instead of the stuff that Sugiyama did, they put in like a fake computer generator of an orchestra instead of an actual orchestral thing. And it's because he's been kind of holding the rights to it, and Square Enix has been having a rough time lately, and they've been wanting to like pay obviously his like really big steep fees when you use his music. So yeah, it's it's interesting because now that he's gone, his copyright goes away in Japan.
Ooh.
So yeah,
that means
which means that
I get
like,
it
Dragon
sucks.
Quest 12.
I get it
It
sucks.
means that Dragon Quest 12 and his socks can go to other people.
Yes.
And so Square Enix is like jumping on that right now. But the other part, because what is it? You watched the Japanese Olympics, right?
No. All I know is that they have video game music at the ceremonies.
Yeah, and at the ceremonies they had Dragon Quest Overture, right? And the Dragon Quest Overture is really good. But Sugiyama as a person is a real fucking scumbag. And I'm going to be a little like incensed with this because I understand that there's a lot of people who believe that you cannot talk really bad about someone when they die.
Don't speak ill of the dead. They might come back and haunt you.
Well, you know what? Fuck them. Because I'm a historian, so I can talk bad about people after they're dead. That's all I do. That's all I do is talk about people when they die, right?
It's a profession.
So it's a profession for me, and I write about it all the time. But like Sugiyama was someone who belonged to it's called the Japan Institute for National Fundamentals. And the Japan Institute for National Fundamentals is a public and foreign policy think tank in Tokyo that's privately funded by Yoshiko Sakurai. And if you don't know anything about that, it's essentially this giant group of influential people who use their power and wealth to deny Japan's previous misdeeds and past events. And one of them is the rape of Nanjing.
Oh, no.
So when China, when China got invaded by Japan in World War II, it was like 1 in 4 women experienced rape in China, and there was like these horrible crimes, and there was Unit 731 that committed forced human experimentation, and Sugiyama, it's basically like Japan's version of the Holocaust, to the point that there was a German correspondent for the Nazis that was there in Nanjing, and like wrote back, yo, these people need to chill the fuck out. Like, I'm obviously paraphrasing, but when you have a literal fucking Nazi say, dude, you all need to stop, that's kind of like, a big deal, right? Well, Sugiyama is a Nanjing massacre denialist, so he's essentially on par with what in the West would be like a Holocaust denier. And he states that the facts regarding the Nanjing massacre are selective in nature, and he once was a part of this signatory on a newspaper, a full-page ad published by the Washington Post in 2007 that was titled The Facts, which was written by a number of Japanese politicians and academics about the United States passing Resolution 121, which actually sought an apology from the government of Japan regarding their involvement in using comfort women who were sexual slaves by Japanese soldiers in World War II that were used from Korea and from Thailand and from China, and were passed around and raped like incessantly. So he basically threw around his entire like money and everything and denying that Japan had any culpability in using comfort women during the war, or using sex slaves. And then he would argue that, what are you talking about? Every single like military and every single person in history has used comfort women at some point. And people instantly in the historical community like went fucking wild and were like, what are you talking about, you old bastard?
In his mind, Dragon Quest is true history. That's what happened. That's what really happened.
Dude, he might as well, dude. Like, honestly, it's hard for me because we've talked about this before on the show. Like, how do you separate good art from the person who like did it? Because I like Rurouni Kenshin. Like, if you remember Rurouni Kenshin, right? Like the Japanese swordsman with the reverse like blade sword, and he's a samurai in like the Meiji era. It's a good anime. It's a good manga. But the guy that made it is an actual pedophile in Japan.
God damn it.
Right?
Why?
So it's
why can't good people make things I enjoy?
No, they can, and they do. It's one of those of like, can you enjoy the art without like, being supportive of the person who made the art?
Depends on how much I love the art.
Well, because obviously Dragon Quest is not just like Koichi Sugiyama's soundtrack, right? You have Akira Toriyama, who is not a part of the Japan Institute for National Fundamentals. But the other part of it that kind of makes it bad is that Sugiyama wrote an editorial in 2012 saying that he thought Japan was in a state of civil war between Japanese and anti-Japanese people. And when he asked for like examples, he basically said that the Japanese media betrays any act of patriotism negatively, such as like performing the national anthem of Japan or raising the Japanese flag. Now, suffice it to say that Japan, like the rising sun flag, which is the flag of Imperial Japan, and it's used where basically countless genocides have happened under that flag, like, the Nanjing Massacre. The Navy of Japan still uses the rising sun flag as their main flag. He also,
I mean, to be honest, in terms of intimidation tactics, that's correct.
No, dude, it's like saying, hey, it's like, the battle flag of, it's like saying, hey, that battle flag that we used for like to get the South, like the South got their shit kicked in. Yeah, that Confederate battle flag? Well, guess what? That's now the Army's official flag.
Exactly. So what happened to the South, we about to do to you.
We're taking we're taking it back, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Or still. But the other part of it is that the last part of Sugiyama's kind of controversies is that he agreed with a rampant conservative politician known as Sugita, who claimed that there was actually no need for LGBT education in Japanese schools, as well as dismissing the high suicide rates amongst Japanese teens of the LGBT community, basically saying that the lack of children born from LGBT couples is an important topic to discuss, suggesting that, Japan was more empowering to women than South Korea. So
did you say
yay
lack of LGBT
children? Yeah, lack of children born from LGBT couples.
That's wait a minute.
Yeah, so essentially he was giving off this snide remark of like, if they can't breed, who gives a shit, right? And so
I heard that. I'm like, I mean, that's correct. Wait a minute.
Yeah. It's kind of like one of those things of like he's essentially like giving that little fake smirk before being like, Ben Shapiro, well, actually, sweaty, that kind of stuff. Now, here's the thing. This was back in 2015, so he had to actually like recant his statements saying that like LGBT couples have existed throughout human society and that he supported, quote, occasional help to them by the government. Great, dude. Awesome. So, yeah, Sugiyama, like your work, but holy shit. You are a fucking asshole. And it's kind of one of those things of looking back on him.
On the life, the music, the horrible history.
What if the Dragon Quest theme was just basically him imagining like Japan marching into China?
Oh my, like, what's that?
Like,
what's
World War II.
Yeah, and they're like actually just stomping on people as they march.
Oh my god. Well, still, honestly, like, he's dead now, so who gives a shit? And you know what? I'm an auditory person, so if music in a video game does not have that it factor, then I don't give a shit, right? Then I don't want to play it. And he obviously did, and he was talented, but Oh my god. Like, why?
Speak
Why would you ever say any of that? So,
Speaking of
still.
art being separated from creators, I want to talk a bit about EA because I don't like EA, but I like the FIFA
Mm.
series. Because like the FIFA series, when I visit my father in Mexico, FIFA series, that's what we play like every time. We just boot up FIFA.
Mm.
And EA Electronic Arts announces that they are trying to change the name of the FIFA series.
Oh shit! What are they changing
Yeah,
it
in
to?
press release details, they basically talk about how big FIFA is because of course FIFA is big. Soccer is the most popular sport in the world, most well recognized, most blah blah blah, and they're just talking themselves up. And they say, as we look ahead, we're also exploring the idea of renaming our global EA Sports football games. This means we're renewing our naming rights agreement with FIFA, which is separate from all other official partnerships and licenses across the football world. Now, for those who don't know, FIFA stands for the Federación Internacional de Fútbol Asociación, which is basically the Federal International Football Association.
Yeah, you literally could have just said the English one, Robinson, instead of saying it in French.
Well, you know what? I was trying to say it in. I was trying
You
to
were
say it
trying
in
to say
Spanish.
it. You're trying to
like
say
French.
it in the fucking vernacular. That's what you were trying to do. Good on you. Good on you, my guy.
I like saying words the way they're spelt.
Hey, dude, well, go ahead. Yeah, go off, Queen.
Which is
Do your
why
thing.
everybody
So,
gets mad at me when I say anxiety instead of anxiety. Anxiety.
you mean anxiety?
Yeah, see, now you're doing it. Anxiety. But
Okay, Robinson. Oh yeah, go. So continue on.
so basically, they're trying to change the FIFA name into God knows what. I don't know, football club or something. PES, football manager. I don't know, but I just don't get it. Like I really don't. This is baffling for me because, like, no joke, FIFA is a household name back in my house. In Mexico, it's a household name. We still have those arcade cabinets that, like, you
Yeah.
put in 10 pesos, and they have Xbox controllers, so you can play a game of FIFA, right?
Oh shit.
Yeah,
Really? Okay.
yeah. I remember playing those with my cousins. But yeah, I'm just wondering why the hell would you change such a name? And I honestly, like, the only thing I can think of is EA's like, we need more money. How can we cut costs? Let's stop.
Let's just drop the licensing with FIFA.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I can think of. And if they do, that might be an issue because FIFA, la Football International Football Association, is a nonprofit organization that governs over, all the football events, all the plays, the World Cup, the rules. Like they're the main governing body. So that's the only thing I can think of. They're trying to save a few $1 million by cutting their licensing.
Oh. Yeah.
That's the only thing I
well,
can
I
think
mean,
of.
I mean, honestly, I stopped paying attention to EA after their whole shit with like between 2017 and now, FIFA has, or not FIFA, but like EA has gone mental for some reason. Like their whole deal with the Star Wars franchise and the loot box
Oh,
stuff
I
of,
remember
like,
that. Yeah.
yeah, you remember them like basically saying, "Oh, they're not gambling; they're surprise
Bro, I
mechanics."
love surprise mechanics. This one time I got mugged in a dirty alleyway, got punctured in the kidney, lost $20. Surprise mechanics.
Dude, when I want to go hard mode in life, I stab my tires and then like see how much that like of an inconvenience that is, like a hard mode situation.
Surprise mechanics.
So it's surprise mechanics, yeah. Like how bad do you have to be with loot boxes? Because loot boxes from like an argumentative stance were fine because they were purely cosmetic, right? And while I do find gambling to be morally reprehensible, especially when it's targeted towards children, which, remember, we've covered this story about FIFA having such profitability when it came to gambling that instead of mining for cryptocurrency, there's a place in the Ukraine that was mining for like EA like coins that they could use for like to sell to people to get to get money from them playing FIFA.
Mm-hmm.
How bad do you have to fuck up that the U.S. government and the Belgian government have to investigate whether or not you're selling gambling to children?
How bad do you need to fuck up that you actually created a black market, just for one single video game?
Dude, right? Well, it's also like if you've ever played World of Warcraft, you can actually pay someone in China to grind World of Warcraft for you so you can get gold. And you pay them real money so that they can grind gold for you in WoW.
Oh my god, I remember because like as a kid, there was a Scholastic book fair, right? Oh, those were awesome. Yeah. You come in with $20, you leave with like 17 books and a sticky hand. The sticky hands are always fun. And I got like a Guinness Video Game Book of World Records, right? And they had like a video game job listing, and one of the jobs was like it was called Gold Farmer. Mm-hmm. And I remember it because it showed like this Cletus looking motherfucker with bad teeth wearing a straw hat just carrying bundles of gold with him, and the first sentence of that article was, "Now don't be fooled by the name. This job sucks."
Well, yeah, because you just pay these people in China to sit down and they just like essentially go kill boars or go find gold, and that's their entire thing, and they give it to you when they're done. Like, why do games need to have grinding to the fact? Because this is someone as an RPG fan, right? As someone as like a JRPG fan, why do you need grinding past that level to where you want to pay someone to make the game less fun?
Over 5,000 hours of mind-pumping gameplay.
And it's really just you're going to kill some boars or going to do some other shit, right?
I think it's hilarious that any time we talk about a level 1 creature, it's always a boar. It's like, where the fuck the boar's at?
Well, I mean, honestly, in Texas we have a boar problem. Did you ever know that like Texas legitimately wild boars are like so plentiful in Texas you don't need a hunting license to go kill them?
That's what I'm saying. These boars can fuck us up. And yet they're level 1. This is an unrealistic expectation. If a boar charges and he hits your knee, no matter what your age is, that knee's going to be bad for the rest of your life.
Yeah, especially like if they're boars with like the tusks, right? Like really sharp.
Ouch.
Like a razorback or something like that. They're going to fuck you up. And there's a reason why people actually died during boar hunting in the medieval times, and they wore armor to those things and had spears. Right? So
yo, I can't believe it. Chief Maximilian got run over by a boar. There goes the French military.
Oh shit, yeah. Well, looks like we got to go tell his like 13-year-old wife he's dead. So
well, speaking of the French, we're at a 30-minute mark, so we got to go execute whoever our current ruler is right now.
Dude, I'm all for that. Let's go fucking do that. Well, like, metaphorically in a video game. Mm-hmm. Let's go do that. But still, yeah, I gotta go. Or let's go. Because I gotta go set up the guillotine.
Absolutely. Yo, didn't this happen like 2 or 3 years ago? Where the French were mad at their prime minister and they set up a guillotine like outside of Congress?
Dude, there have been people who have been throwing eggs at Macron.
Jesus.
So, yeah, Emmanuel Macron, like, there have been people who have been, like, legitimately waiting for him to do, like, where he walks the street and, like, does his, like, press tour where he shakes hands. There was one person who was, like, down with the monarch, or who was essentially a monarchist in French society, which, number one, you're a monarchist in 2021? What the fuck is your problem? And he threw an egg at Emmanuel Macron. And then, like, a couple of months later, another person threw an egg at Emmanuel Macron, but they were a fascist. So it's like you can't. It's like the monarchists are mad at you, the fascists are mad at you, and even the liberals and the progressives and the communists are mad at Macron.
Bro,
so it's a losing thing.
What's that Lord of the Rings meme? It's like, never thought I'd die next to a communist. No, next to a fascist. What about a friend? I can do that.
Oh my god.
As
Damn.
they
You know those monarchists, they're really popular politicians.
Bro, monarchist, you don't fuck with butterflies. All right, we'll be back,
Dude,
folks.
okay. Yeah, okay, let's stop.
So what's hilarious is that like the meme about the French is like they're the surrender country. They're like the white flag. But when they turn on their own, they get insane. And Stanley just showed me this video. Well, the French president, not prime minister, excuse me, Emmanuel Macron, he got slapped in the face during the meet and greets. Like, straight up.
And also got that egg thrown at him, too.
As he like, runs away.
Yeah, dude.
So,
I'm telling you, like, what was it? We were making the joke off air. Basically, like, in America, it's like, don't make fun of the president, boo, 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 boo. And, like, meanwhile, in France, you know, people getting slapped as politicians. Dude, can you imagine if someone, like, slapped Mitch McConnell or slapped Nancy Pelosi?
Bro, they would be, like, they would be gunned down. They were...
I know. Like, I know. Like, that's the thing, is that France is...
Because the Secret Service, all they did was like one hopped over the rail, and I'm not sure if they're throwing hands or in this case throwing around slapjacks. But I don't. It's so funny to me. I'll put it this: if you follow us on NerdHellPodcast, this video will be up where the French president gets smacked. And I'm seeing this, like, because I box, I'm seeing this from the boxer's perspective. The assaultant, a horrible slap, way too big of a wind-up, no follow-through, generally skinny arms. But the president, he did it worse, because if you get slapped by a slap like that, you have no excuse. Like, you should have been,
I mean,
you should see that slap a mile away.
Have you ever seen the video of George W. Bush when he was in Iraq and then an Iraqi reporter threw his shoes at him?
He threw George's shoes at George?
No, he threw this Iraqi reporter threw his shoes at George W. Bush at a press conference, and Bush dodged both of them, and people memed on it where they basically added Pokeballs as the shoes.
See, now, Bush, there's a president I could vote for. Somebody who knows how to dodge a shoe. Because if you can dodge a shoe, you can dodge a ball.
Yeah, it's what is it? It is so great because it reminds me of, like, our politics back then. And it was basically like, oh, yeah, I remember this was crazy. And they talked about this for fucking ever. And then now looking at it now, I'm just like, who cares? Right?
What was that? Was it a JF Kennedy talk where like a balloon popped and he was like, "Miss me," and then went back to his speech without missing a beat. And then Andrew Jackson would straight up duel anybody who disagreed with him with guns, bro.
Dude, I love it because there is the White House portrait like hallway where they have all the portraits of the presidents.
Yeah.
And in the portraits of the presidents, there's like when you stop by Andrew Jackson, well, because every portrait has little facts about each president that the portrait shows. And with Andrew Jackson's, on his, was in at least 7 duels. So historians don't agree much, but the whole idea that Andrew Jackson was in at least 7 duels is something we can agree on. It's like, it may be as high as 100. It may be low as 7, but we all agree that 7 is the minimum number here.
I saw this one meme that it was like, "I'm done arguing in 2020. If we disagree, I'ma straight shoot you." That's just Andrew Jackson.
Yeah. It's so funny. It's so funny. Just this whole thing of Andrew Jackson, like, literally fought people over nothing, and it's so good. My favorite Andrew Jackson fact, though, has to deal with Andrew Jackson's pet parrot, who obviously Andrew Jackson was a prolific cursor, and so he would curse all the time, and his parrot, being a parrot, picked up cursing. So when Andrew Jackson was buried, in his will, he wanted his parrot at his funeral. And as they were lowering Andrew Jackson into the ground, his parrot started F-bombing, and they had to remove Andrew Jackson's bird from the surfaces.
Well, I like to imagine, because like realistically, the parrot at the funeral, I imagine his wife's holding the parrot in a little cage, or maybe one of his kids if he had kids. But I like to imagine that the parrot like got escorted out, like the guy who slapped the French president. Like they're jumping over guardrails. They grab the parrot by like two guys, and each of them grab one of his wings, right, as they lure him out.
Yeah, dude. It's so great. Like, people say that American history and politics, like, around the world are just boring. I'm like, have y'all even paid attention to any of this shit? Because it's so hilarious.
It's so good.
Yeah, it's so great. Like, the person that I would like to slap though is Randy Pitchford, right? So Randy Pitchford, if you don't know who he is, he's like the CEO and president for the Gearbox company, which came out with like Duke Nukem and Borderlands, Bulletstorm, Duke Nukem 3, Shadow Warrior, like all these really awesome games, right?
Yeah.
Well, Randy Pitchford apparently is stepping down as Gearbox software president, but he's going to remain as Gearbox Entertainment CEO. So he's not going to work for the video game company, but he's going to work for the company that Gearbox owns that's going to make the Borderlands live-action film. So, hooray. Now, if you don't know anything about Randy Pitchford, in 2018, former Gearbox lawyer Wade Callender filed a lawsuit against Pitchford, alleging that Pitchford had left a USB containing sensitive Gearbox information.
Oh no!
At you know those restaurants where it's like they're themed, where they have performances and they have like themed food around that. So
like dinner theater or medieval times?
Well, yeah, because there's like medieval times, but then there's also like that, like, what is it, Civil War one that you see like in some southern towns too.
Wait, there are Civil War restaurants?
Yeah, dude.
What do they serve? Hardtack?
Or they just serve like Southern comfort food, right?
Ooh.
And all the coffee and iced tea and whatever stuff you can drink, but they like try to play it off as like, that they're playing to these performances as sort of like a North-South rivalry. And, it's like, okay, well, there's a little more to that than it being a rivalry, but sure, whatever.
Nobody wants racism at breakfast. Come on.
Nobody wants to see a white guy in a Confederate uniform saying the hard R with a bunch of kids around. Now, anyways, back to Pitchford. So Pitchford apparently left a USB of like, at the time was like Borderlands 3 information at a restaurant, at a medieval times restaurant in Texas.
Yo, he like, I can see this so clearly in my head. He's got like the giant turkey leg. He's just like, he's got the bone in one hand. He's ripping out chunks of it. He like picks up a napkin to clean his hands. And like the USB falls out of his pocket. He tries to pick it up with his greasy, slippery hands, and it just keeps slipping around like a carton bar of soap.
Wow. Well, the other part is that that's not all of it. So apparently there was also, according allegedly by Wade Callender, this guy claimed that there was also child pornography on the USB drive.
God.
Yeah, but apparently it wasn't child pornography.
Oh.
Pitchford clarified that the pornographic film on the USB drive was not child porn. It was essentially pornography for the purposes of studying a sexual act by a female actress that he claimed to be similar to a magic trick.
Wait, okay.
Yeah, so
all right,
apparently
so I just want to get
like,
this.
He did not, it was not child pornography. It was essentially porn. It was regular porn, but it had this woman performing a magic trick in a pornography that he apparently wanted to imitate. And I'm like, Randy, dude, gotta stop shoving shit up your asshole if you don't
I was,
if that's what you call magic. That's not
I was
magic.
gonna
That's
say, does she make the eggplant disappear? Like the cucumber,
like
it's
that's the
gone.
like yeah, dude, like that's the whole thing is that Randy apparently number one, what are you doing with company property and you're putting pornography on it?
Okay,
Like, dude, stop.
I was gonna say like. At first, story was funny, then story was horrifying, now story is funny again. But
Yeah, right?
if he's got, because who the fuck said it was child porn? Like, fuck that guy. What's his name?
Wait, calendar?
Wade
Well, like,
Calendar?
here's
Fuck
the
that
thing.
guy.
It wasn't so it wasn't child porn. Just like, but still, the fact that he has pornography on his like company device is kind of like okay, Borderlands 3, like all this information, all this stuff about like how the company's gonna be run, and then it's like magic porn, and
What was it? The name of the porn? I'll need a volunteer from the audience.
yeah, well, apparently in October of 2019, both sides announced that the lawsuit had been dropped.
Okay, good.
And the joint statements basically saying that there was a misunderstanding and
Fuck
that Pitchford, but still, like, how is it a misunderstanding if he legitimately lost a USB at a medieval times and that contained sensitive information that the company could potentially lose? So
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. I thought it was
the
like
other
a lawsuit over mystical boob.
no, the other lawsuit that happened over him is that the guy that voiced Claptrap, the one of the main
I love that
characters,
guy.
like the little robot, David Eddings, in May of 2019, the voice actor for Claptrap, David Eddings, accused Pitchford of assault at a game developers conference in 2017, saying that like Pitchford actually physically shoved Eddings after mentioning to Pitchford that he had been told someone was attempting to buy Gearbox, as well as mentioning the calendar lawsuit. Eddings was let go after the event, so he was fired after the event and was shoved. And it states kind of why he didn't voice Claptrap in Borderlands 3, but Pitchford really denies that he assaulted like Eddings, and Gearbox says that there's no really further comment, so the lawsuit's still going on right now.
Jeez.
So you're just gonna have to kind of wait to see what happened. But like David Eddings, why would David Eddings lie about this, especially because he has a cushy job? He's a beloved character on a game, right? He's Claptrap. He's the funny little like almost wisecracking robot. So why would he like ruin that? Why would he want to get fired from that? And Pitchford obviously has been shown to be irresponsible with things because he allegedly left a USB containing sensitive stuff at a fucking medieval times restaurant. So,
So, I like to imagine that some Viking picked it, like an actor picked it up, but he's like really into character. He's like, "What is this device?" Not-
don't know. Better make it like a magic trick and shove it up my asshole, right? So
I'm
you
honestly,
go.
I'm curious to what the video was now. I want to know the magic trick because, like,
Yeah.
I love magic, and like growing up, it's like, yeah, magic's not real, but it's so fun to watch, and I like to like think, like, hypothesize, how'd he do that? It's
Yeah,
fun.
like, well, I mean, because magic is fun, right? Going to see magic is great. Um, have I ever told you about the time that my parents thought they were taking us to a magic show, but then they took us to a gay, like actual like gay actual gay like theater?
Well,
And
everything in a gay theater is disappearing.
no, I mean like they took us and we were supposed to see this magic show because we were in Berlin, and this was the first time that I was ever in Berlin. So this was back when I was like in middle school, and we were meeting with her old German exchange student, and this was before I knew German. This was before like I'd lived there, and I was like a small child, and we were in Germany. We were in Berlin, and apparently the tickets for the magic show got sold out, and they had sold more tickets than they were supposed to. So then the concierge at the hotel got us into this play that was supposed to be like Cirque du Soleil, right? And we were like, okay,
Ooh.
that sounds like fun. So we went, And on the poster, and I remember this vividly, it was this thing called Twins and Friends, and it was this picture of these two naked men in a giant martini glass that was filled with water, like a bathtub that they're sharing. And then you have a bunch of other people just kind of standing around the poster. And my mom and dad were kind of like, surely this isn't the one that we're going to see, right? And you have to understand, like, Katerina, our old exchange student, who's basically like my German sister, and her dad, Hans Otto, was there with us. And they were like, yeah, no, we don't think that this is the one. Maybe it's a different one. And so we walk in, and all of a sudden... Yep, it was that one. They brought out the giant martini glass, and... Like, they started doing, like, the acrobatic trips, and I just remember my mom just being, like, real based in her homophobia at the time, just like, Tony, don't let Jim go to the bathroom by himself. And just...
I mean, I thought she was going to say, let's leave. Also.
No, like, we left after about, like, 20 minutes, but, like, the performance was actually good. It was just weird because it was, like, it was essentially, like, a gay Cirque du Soleil, which, number one... If anyone's ever watched Cirque du Soleil, and as someone a part of the LGBT community, Cirque du Soleil is, like, super gay to begin with. So, you know,
those guys,
it's like the gay Cirque du Soleil means you have to, like, outdo it, in a sense.
Those guys are wearing the skinniest, tightest suits on earth for maximum mobility. And you got to respect it. Also, in that show, you don't want to miss the final act for the martini glass where they put the toothpick in the olive.
Oh man, you know, dude, like they got some talent there. You can see it going nationwide.
Was it at least a fun show?
Actually, I thought it was a fun show.
Yeah.
But my parents are like these old people, right? They're like these boomers who haven't like really thought about gayness because they're not a part of that community, or they're not really affected by it. And like back in 2006, 2007. Or not even 2006, 2007. It was like 2003, 2004. But yeah, in 2004, we were still in 2004. That was like 17 years ago.
Oh, yes.
So they've changed since then, and they've done a lot of work. But that was like one of those things you were just like, oh shit, yeah, this is not the show we signed up for. Now they had not told me that the show had changed, so I still thought we were going to see the Blue Man Group, which was the magic show that we were supposed to go see.
Bro, Blue Man Group is fun too.
Yeah, and I still haven't seen the Blue Man Group, but the other part of it is that, like, 1 year in 2017, I went to go to Berlin, and I was meeting up with Katerina again and her dad Hans Otto because they were visiting the area and they wanted to see me. So I went to go like visit with them and see them. And we were walking back from the Sony Center to the hotel. Well, it turned out that we had essentially, we were like, oh, well, let's just walk back because we don't want to take the subway because it's expensive. So we were walking back, and apparently we got caught into the Berlin Pride Festival. And like we walked through it. So my first ever Pride that I went to was the Berlin Pride Festival. And I remember Katerina like basically begging me never to tell my mom because she thought that like they were like trying to like corrupt me or something, which is like, sorry, too late. But it was still one of those like funny things. She was like, please don't tell your parents.
Don't tell mom.
Because we literally had to walk through the entire thing because we were on the opposite side of the entire parade.
Man, so I back before I didn't have a car, there was a Pride Festival in Salt Lake City, and I just wanted a burger, right? So you know, I threw on my hat, I put on my hoodie, and I started walking, and I had to pass through the festival, right? People kept like booing me and giving me the finger and shit like that. I'm like, what the hell is going on? What did I do?
Were you wearing like a MAGA hat or some kind of shit at there?
I was wearing a red Adidas hat.
Oh, no. And they thought that was...
Yeah, because I'm 6 feet tall, nobody could see the goddamn Adidas logo. And I'm just trying to go get a burger.
I will say that is bad optics. But because, like, if you ever gone to a Pride Festival, and we should go sometime so that you understand, like, what it is, because it's a lot of fucking fun. To go to one of those things. I do
not like parades at all.
You do not like parades?
Thanksgiving
well, the parades
Day,
are really
nothing.
only like a third of it, Robinson. It's basically a party. But the just like the fact that you wore a red hat, it was probably it was kind of like a oh shit, this person's trying to be like an agitation.
I just
part
wanted
of that
food.
agitprop.
Was that really loud?
Is it?
Was that really loud?
Is
I
it?
don't know. Yeah, but
Is it that you wanted food?
I did.
Or is it that you wanted to make America great again?
No, I went to Tony's Burgers. I got a Tony Southern and I'm so blue cheeseburger, which is a blue cheese bacon cheeseburger. That's really good. Ooh.
Yeah.
But yeah, like in the restaurant, I got no issues. But like as soon as I walked out, and it was because I was sitting down, people could see it's just Adidas.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, how fucked is that? That like you can't wear red hats anymore because the Trumpies like made it like a symbol of hate.
Bro, I'm like a bunch of guys wearing blue bandanas come up to me. Oh no, not
Yeah.
Adidas.
Well,
Adidas.
to kind of wrap this up, apparently Randy Pitchford is doing a magic trick and just disappearing from the company and going on to help produce this movie.
Good for him.
So, you know what? Good luck, Randy. Hopefully that lawsuit between you and the voice actor for Claptrap, David Eddings, goes well.
I'm happy. This is finally like a company issue that we've had that wasn't incredibly god fucking awful.
Yeah, well, still, like, you know what else is kind of awful is the Resident Evil movies.
Ooh. What about?
Have you ever seen the Resident Evil, like the actual like Resident Evil movies that came out like in the thousands?
Never have.
You never seen them before?
Nah.
Really? They're all bad. Like they're all really bad, but they're all like funny bad because they all star like
You almost became
my girl Mila Jovovich.
You almost became a Jill sandwich.
Oh my god! Like, well, because that's the thing, right? Is that the whole idea of Resident Evil is basically like a mixture of like really poorly acted, really awful, really funny horror kind of stuff. But there's this director named Paul W.S. Anderson who did basically movie 1 and then 4 through 6, and they're bad. Like bad. But he did like Resident Evil Apocalypse, Resident Evil Extinction, Resident Evil Afterlife. But guess what? Paul W.S. Anderson is not directing this new film because on a couple of days ago, 3 days ago, from New York City Comic-Con, they were the first to witness this new Resident Evil trailer, and it's Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City. And it looks pretty good. Like, I'm honestly actually really excited about this. Ooh. I actually might go see this movie in theaters. So, the final Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City, the cast list is Kea Scodelario, who played...
This person's first name is Skull?
Kayla. It's Kea or Kaya, whatever what. Right? And she actually played like on this TV show that like Savannah used to watch all the time called Skins. It's like this British like teenage show, but still it's really good.
Skins as in multiple. Like if it was skin, all right. Skins as in multiple, that gives me the heebies.
Yeah, well, it's so much more of like it's this show about British teens kind of dealing with growing up in like really adult themes. Ooh. Because they're like, it's actually really good. It's a good watch.
And then they stretch out their skin and get stretch marks, but it's not their fault. They just grew too big.
Yeah. So, they have like Leon Kennedy, and you know how Leon Kennedy is like basically a blonde-haired Backstreet Boy?
Hell yeah.
Do you know who they got to play Leon Kennedy for this film?
Chris Pratt, because he's so cool.
They got Avian Jogia.
I have no clue who that is.
If you don't know who that is, I'm going to send this picture to you in our Discord.
Okay, let's see this.
So, yeah.
Oh, hell yes.
Like, they got him to play it, but then Leon Kennedy is like this this guy, right? Yeah, I know so Leon. They look nothing alike. Like, it's one of those, I'm like, okay, whatever.
You know who this
Like,
guy
it can't
reminds me
be.
of? This guy reminds me of the millionaire from Parks and Rec, who's an asshole. That's what this guy
Oh
reminds me
yeah,
of. That's
yeah,
why I love it.
100%.
That's why I love it because like, if they are making a Resident Evil movie, I do want Leon to be making his like dumb snips and puns because I've only played the Resident Evil 2 remake, and then
Dude, it's so
yeah,
good.
he's always got a sub of like, what the fuck?
What the?
Huh?
Dude, what is the donkey? He's like, it's a zombie. What? It's a zombie.
What the?
You've seen this for like the last 3 hours. Well, how can you still be like, what the? Dude, I don't know. I think it's really funny how like when you shoot off, like the what is it? The Project X, his hat,
He
his
gets
fedora
mad.
off. He actually gets mad and runs at you faster.
Bro, I remember.
Yeah.
I remember the first time I saw him. Like, God, Resident Evil 2. This isn't a spoiler. It's like the first hour of the Leon campaign. But when you first meet Mr. X, he just like lifts a helicopter, and you're like, "Oh, hello."
No. Yeah.
Just like
You're like, great.
and like you're in a narrow corridor. I try to shoot him, and he got faster, and I actually panicked in real life. Like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So writing for this film, apparently they're gonna go back to like the first two like original games, and they're gonna try and make it into one.
Yeah.
Because
Resident Evil 1 and 2?
yeah, Resident Evil and then Resident Evil 2.
Okay.
Right? So the film is going to be based off those two stories kind of working together, which makes sense, right? You have the outbreak at the creators of the Umbrella at their house, right? Which is the first game. And then you obviously go to Raccoon City when the outbreak happens, which is right next to that house, right? So it makes sense that they would do this. In Deadline Hollywood had a interview with the guy that wrote the film called Greg Russo. And Greg Russo said that, and I'm quoting with him, "I really wanted to go back to the original first two games and recreate the terrifying visceral experience I had when I first played them, whilst at the same time telling a grounded human story about small dying American town that feels both relatable and relevant to today's audience."
And you know why they call it the Raccoons? You know why they call it Raccoon City, don't you?
I'm guessing because there's garbage everywhere?
Because the zombies are raccoons, and we, as humans, we're the garbage.
Okay, great. Are we doing a little bit of like, antinatalism again?
Bro, I'm a shaker now.
You're a shaker
Shake
now?
and quake, baby.
You firmly believe that sex is the origin of all sin, therefore you gotta go like live in a commune with a bunch of other people that feel that way, and then you dance at a woman. You don't dance with them.
Aggressive dancing.
Aggressive dancing at them.
I want that in subtitles, like yellow subtitles with brackets, aggressive dancing.
Yeah, but the whole film's gonna go back to 1998. So they're going to go back to when the original stuff happened.
All right.
Right? Which I'm actually really excited for. I'm excited to see how they're going to handle this. Now, I will say, if you ever watch the trailer for the Welcome to Raccoon City trailer, the acting is exactly on par with the video games, which is not a good thing. But I feel like it is also a good thing because, it is kind of on the level for those types of video games.
Mm-hmm.
Like even Resident Evil Village, which is my favorite game of 2021. To me, Resident Evil Village is game of the year, right?
All right.
Resident Evil Village is game of the year, but even then there was clunky writing throughout the entire stuff. Like the whole thing when you finally kill Lady Dimitrescu
I'd like her to step
and
on
she's
me.
falling. Well, when Lady Dimitrescu finally dies, she's like, "You will wallow in your self-despair." And then, it ends, and he's just like, "No, you will wallow in your self-despair."
What was that fucking thing from Death Stranding? Your used goods, honey. And she smacks him.
Oh, it was like, I may be fragile, but I'm not that fragile.
My name might be fragile, but I'm not fragile.
That's fragile. But I'm not that fragile. It was like, oh my God. This is why you need a wrangler for some kind of artist or some kind of writer, right?
Here's the thing. I want to believe that it's just like bad translation. Like they sent the game to like the American localization team and they're like, instead of like, making it sound good, they just try to like directly translate, because direct translations is not the way to go. You want to directly translate it and then make it sound better to your audience, right?
Yeah.
But I like to believe that in situations like that, it's like if they say it in Japan, it's nuanced, it's funny, it's deep. But here in America, it's, my name is Fragile, but I'm not fragile.
Well, because the actress that they got to play her in Death Stranding, right, is actually French. So, and she's a really famous French actress, right? So it makes sense that she would say fragile in that kind of like fashion, right? But it was just kind of the writing of it. It was just like there were moments when I played Death Stranding and I finished Death Stranding that I was just kind of like, ooh, no, don't say that. Please don't say that. Like, that sounds awful.
That thing where like you turtle into your shoulders, like, like that one episode of SpongeBob where Patrick drinks curdled milk.
Oh my god. Okay. I don't think I've ever seen that one. Do you think is it the one where his breath turns bad?
No, that's the Sunday episode.
Yeah.
Bro, I am a SpongeBob historian. And actually, speaking of voice acting, fun fact, completely unrelated, but so Arnold Schwarzenegger can speak fluent German, I believe. He was not allowed to dub his own. He was not allowed to dub his own voice in the Terminator German dub. And do you know the reason why?
Why?
Because it turns out that where Arnold Schwarzenegger is from, he gets a very rural German accent. So he sounds like the equivalent to an American hillbilly. So they thought it wouldn't make sense if this future robot sounded like a German hillbilly.
No, I get that.
That's kind of mean.
Well, I mean, as someone who lived in Germany for a while, like, I can tell you, like, there are stereotypes against Austrians being kind of weird and effeminate. So, like, a lot of Germans just make fun of Austrians because they think that they're weird. And, like, it makes sense that, like, Arnold Schwarzenegger, like, when he speaks German, it may not be, like, that deep kind of, like, whatever they're looking for. Like, you're also talking to someone who went to learn German in Bavaria, which is basically the southern accent. It's like Texas accent for Germans.
Yeehaw.
And so, yeah, because like we went to Katarina's wedding like way back in the day, and people didn't believe that I wasn't German because I had the Bavarian accent and I spoke it to them. And they're like, hey, do you, like, apparently there's a bunch of Americans here. Do you know who they are? And I was like, yeah, I'm one of them. And they're like, no, you're not. I'm like, yes. And, like, apparently when Savannah and I, on our honeymoon, went to Berlin and went to go around Germany, I was stopped a couple of times and people asked me where things were. And I was like, dude, I don't know. Why are you asking me? And they're like, don't you live here? I'm like, no, I don't live here. I used to, but I don't know, like, what you're asking, right? So, like, I found out that, like, if you're ever in a different country or if you're in a different place and you walk with purpose, people think that you live there. Like, that's it, right? Because it looks like that I'm walking with purpose, but in reality, I'm very introverted, so I don't want to look at anyone. So I just have my head down and I'm walking really quickly, and I'm not paying attention to like other people, so they think, hey, this person might get it. Can you tell me where the train station is? Yeah, no, just go over there. Do you see where the sign that says U-Bahn next to it? Go there. Stop bothering me. Fuck off. Right?
People ask me, hey, that guy knows what he's doing, but I'm just trying to hold in a turd and find the nearest public bathroom I can find. And that gives me the straightest posture in the earth.
Yeah, and so then people start asking you questions on the way there. And they're like, hey, Robinson, do you know where, like, I don't know, we can go find the Corvette dealership, man? And you're like, I don't fucking know. Like,
I would say.
We're like in Toronto, or like if we ever go to VidCon, and we're just like sitting there walking with purpose and be like, hey, do you know where this so-and-so restaurant is? I'm just going to be like, what the fuck? Who are you? I don't know you.
My answer,
Get away from me.
answer would be, what's a Corvette?
What's that?
I'm assuming it's a car, right? Okay.
Yeah, it's a sports car.
Nice.
Right? Yeah.
Uh,
Dude.
I'm horrible with cars.
What? Well, I mean, I am too, right? But I mean, speaking of cars, like last thing I want to kind of like be off a little bit of this is, have you seen the new Ford Bronco?
No, I haven't. It doesn't look like the horse because if it doesn't, I'd be disappointed.
No, dude. Like, I'm honestly, legitimately thinking about getting a new Ford Bronco.
Okay, Ford
Like, I know,
Bronco. Looking it up right now.
yeah,
Oh, it's a big old Jeep.
yeah. It looks good. It looks great. Like, it looks interesting. Like the new Ford Bronco, like it just I like it, right? But I want like it has stick shift too,
Ooh.
and I'm all about stick shift, and I'm ready for that.
So for our viewers, we're looking at the Bronco right now. Now this car, it looks like a Jeep, a Humvee, but it also looks like you can mount a turret to the top of it.
I know, like go cosplaying, but like for Halo,
Oh hell yeah!
just remove the top down and then just have the back seat be this fake minigun, or I don't know, get a real minigun and then like put a damper on people's day. So, um, yeah, that was an actual joke, Dave Chappelle. If you're listening, he's not listening. So, still, I like, I like it. Like the inside of the new Ford Bronco looks fucking sick. Like the whole, like everything about it looks fucking great. I really want one, but I'm almost done paying off my Prius. So we're going to sell Savannah's old car and then I'm going to give her my Prius and then I'm going to get this Ford Bronco.
Nice.
But I'm also torn because I want an electric car too. I'm tired of like pollution and shit, right? So
Selfish incentives.
Like, I know. I really don't want to like contribute to global warming, but then at the same time I'm like, but it looks so fucking cool. God damn it. Like I have strong morals, but I'm also like, I want this car.
What's that one meme where it's like, no, this is brilliant, but I like this.
Yeah, it's Jeremy Clarkson from like the, what is it? Not Jeremy Clarkson, but it's like the people from Top Gear, like the British show where they drive cars and they do like, car stuff. So, yeah, it's great. Like I like it. It just, I don't know.
That's a good looking car, yeah.
Yeah, dude, I would love it cuz then like, imagine me just kind of like showing up. It would make sense cuz people stare at me when I show up in a Prius anyways. So, like, at least like when they would look at me like getting out of this, they're looking at like not like I'm a person getting out of a clown car.
I was literally just about to bring that up because like I drive a Kia, which is like, it's not a small car, but it's a sedan, and I have the seat maxed down. I have it like leaned back 80%, and I have the seat maxed out like in back. So I like when I get out of my car, it's like I'm getting out of bed. I just like roll out of it.
Why don't you just get a Kia Soul? I just get a Kia Soul, and then you can be like those hamsters in the commercial.
What is a Kia Soul? See, this is what I know nothing about cars. Kia Soul. Let's see.
Kia Soul, yeah.
Hey, box car.
So it's like a Kia Soul. It's basically a box car, but they had this commercial where they had like 4 hamsters listening to like LMFAO, and it'd just be like they would just be dancing and everything. It'd be like Kia Soul, and then all of a sudden a bunch of white girls decided that they wanted to buy Kia Souls. Good. You should just buy a Kia Soul, dude.
Good for them. I can't wait to step out of a car instead of rolling out of a car.
Instead of like trying to like climb through a tiny window.
Bro.
Dude, I get it. It sucks.
It does. And
because I'm tall also. So that's I'm 6'1". So that's like it.
This is we're both 6 feet here, so this is the podcast for the manliest of men. Genetics, baby. We got lucky.
Honestly, I'm something. I'm not sure what yet, but I'm something.
God.
I'm something there.
Have you seen Gamer Poops? Like YouTube Gamer Poops? Yeah. Have you seen the Skyrim one by Manslayer? Or it's like, get the gents like a true man. It's so fucking funny. If you have it, I'll send it to you.
Yeah. Well, still. So Ford Bronco, but I'm actually excited about the Resident Evil movie.
That's good.
I really am.
That's good. And actually,
like, I think we're going to have to watch it sometime. So.
Yeah. And actually, that leads me into, I got about 5 micro stories here, and let me shoot through them. And my first micro story, Capcom is celebrating Resident Evil 7 Biohazard reaching 10 million copies sold, which is
Hell yeah.
a lot.
Dude, have you played Resident Evil? Have you played the 7? Have you played 7?
It scared the poop out of me, so yes, I have.
Dude, it's so good.
It is good.
It's so
just,
good. Yeah.
You know what's funny? I read this thing where it's like they made a Resident Evil 8 less scary because 7 was too scary. And I'm not sure if
Dude,
that's
Resident Evil 7 was really legitimately terrifying. Like, I played that the week before the whole, like, Winter Storm Uri happened, and I just remember being like, wow, this is a lot of scary shit, man. Like, there would be, like, the ambient noise that they had in Resident Evil 7 would be like doors slamming, but it sounded like far away. So you actually thought like it was outside of your headphones. And the sound design for that stuff, because remember, I'm an audio person.
So I think why this game was so scary is that it made me uncomfortable, right? I was uncomfortable to be in this house with this icky, sticky family. And I remember that first time when they're all eating dinner together and you wake up tattooed chair. And the sounds that game makes when the father like gets pissed at his son and like rips his arms off. Oh, yeah. It was gross.
Exactly. Like, they went back to their horror roots with that one. And then, like, what is it? Resident Evil 8, I honestly still think is ultimately terrifying, right? I still think it is. Like, I think the whole concept of that entire stuff, like being Romania, being in a foreign country, and being, like, held up against your will by these people who have kidnapped someone from your family is a terrifying concept. Horror doesn't always have to be, like, jump scares and shit.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
It can be, like, existential horror. Like, if you've ever seen, have you ever seen the movie, what is it, Event Horizon?
No, never have. Never even heard of it.
Ooh, that should be one of our Halloween, like, movies this month,
All right.
is watch Event Horizon. Yeah. Because it's, like, legitimately, like, fucked up. It's, like, it's so good. It's, like, a cult classic film, but...
It's on HBAX. It's got Lauren Fishburne.
Yeah, it's got Lawrence Fishburne. It has Sam Neill, Jolie Richardson, Kathleen Quinlan. Like, it has a bunch of, like, really top A directors. The only thing that I don't like about it is that it was directed by Paul W.S. Anderson. You know, the guy that we were talking shit about for doing the Resident Evil movies? Yeah, but it's actually, like, good. It's one of his better films, and it's because it's not a property that he can fuck up. Right? Yeah. It's his own kind of, like, you know, take on this kind of thing. And it's so good because apparently, you know, what is it? Opening portals to get faster space travel is just opening portals to hell. And so you're kind of exploring that kind of thing. But still, we should do that as one of our Movie Butter Halloween specials. So
Gotcha, yeah. That'd be a good idea. And speaking of existential horrors... The Kingdom Hearts games are coming to Nintendo Switch cloud versions, which I'm probably not gonna get it.
Why?
So I don't know.
Why cloud?
And here's
Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2 could be played on the PlayStation 2.
Yeah, exactly.
The Switch has better hardware than that. Why would you need to fucking do that from downloaded or digital? You could do that from just like you could even download it to the Switch itself. It's not that. Okay, never mind.
So
I'm gonna stop.
Here's my existential horror part about it: the titles. So here we go. These are the games coming to Nintendo Switch: Kingdom Hearts HD 1.5 plus HD 2.5 Remix, Kingdom Hearts HD 2.8 Final Chapter Prologue, and then Kingdom Hearts 3 plus Remind. And Remind is spelled R-E space mind.
Oh my god.
I have no fucking clue what these names are.
Why?
What the fuck is a 1.5?
Well, it's between 1 and 2.
And also, when it says 1.5 plus 2.5, are they adding the numbers, or is that like game 1 and 2 together in one game?
Well, because they're saying that, like, essentially they're not adding 1, but they're adding 1 and then the games that were before 1. Because Kingdom Hearts is a series. Like, if... here. I'm gonna send you a link to go watch Mr. Klemps, like do his rundown over this because I showed him the Dragon Quest video that he did and it's really funny. But he does an entire story breakdown for Kingdom Hearts, the entire series, and every single time he's like, "Ooh, okay, oh boy, all right, it's time for us to get into this game," and then he does a 30-minute video and he's like, "Yeah. So there you go. That's it." And then he does the next one because Nomura, the guy that like we talked about on Movie Butter that looks like a fucking anime character in real life.
Beautiful.
He just likes to make complicated things for just to be complicated.
I mean, we will make fun of him from looking like anime, but it comes from a place of, damn, I wish I was that gorgeous. At least for me.
Yeah. Well, still,
and here's the thing I don't like about cloud versions is that completely defeats the purpose of handheld.
Yeah,
1,000%.
It does. Yeah, it does. So then, what's the point of this? Like, just put 1 and 2 on like actual physical copies because we know the Switch can handle it, and then get 3, and then maybe downgrade it a bit for 3. And then put it on, like, the internet or put it for digital download. But don't do, like, streaming, right? Because streaming sucks. There's a reason why, like, Google Cloud Play did not work.
Absolutely. And I'm just going to blast through these last ones real quick because I personally am running out of time. So, first blast. Grand Theft Auto Trilogy has been confirmed. San Andreas, Vice City, and 3, which I have never played. Have you played those, Stanley?
What?
Grand Theft Auto, San Andreas, Vice City, or 3.
You mean Liberty City?
No, not Liberty City. That one's Grand Theft Auto 4.
Yeah. I have not played them because my parents were like, "Oh, Grand Theft Auto will make you want to murder people." So, yeah, just like we talked about, how my parents wouldn't let me be a ghost because it was demonic, because ghosts are demons. So,
gotcha.
Yeah.
So, I've never played them either for the same reason. My mom thought it would make me shoot people.
Oh, really? Okay.
Next. So, yeah, since it's a trilogy, I might get it on sale, play, like, the game that built Grand Theft Auto to what it is today. Next, Konami is inviting indie developers to make new games based on some of its classic series, right? Some of these classic series being Gradius, Game Bear, Goemon, and a bunch more. And they're asking for people like, hey, take this game, take a mechanic, take a character, maybe make a sequel, maybe make a prequel, make a spin-off, and do an action and shooting game, right? And if we like it, we'll hire you. And I want to say, like, the last time something like this happened was with Sonic Mania. So we could get a game out of year. We could get a Game of the Year revival. If this goes well, which I'm just all for. Also, I want to say that Will Smith has said that the worst movie he's ever made, in his opinion, is Wild Wild West, which I've never seen.
Really?
Yeah, Will Smith says...
I have to disagree with Will Smith there. Because he's done way worse properties.
I was gonna say, if it was up to me, I'd say Bright, but I've never seen Wild Wild West. But
yeah,
direct quote from Will Smith, Ori and the Will of the Smiths: "Wild Wild West is just a thorn in my side. To see myself with chaps, I don't like it."
I honestly think that the original Suicide Squad movie was worse than Wild Wild West.
Yeah. I completely forgot about that. I'm not joking.
Or Independent.
I forgot about that one.
Yeah. Yeah, no, like Wild Wild West was actually better than Suicide Squad. So, and it was better than Bright also, right? So I don't understand what he's talking about because he's done a lot of like movies that have really shit the bed. Like the other part of it is that like when he tried to play the genie in Aladdin, it was not good. It was not great. It was like he's trying to match Robin Williams' aesthetic, but he's not coming at it. Because he should have done it the way that he wanted to instead of
Robin Williams, he had a steady supply of Monster Energy drink in his bloodstream at any given moment. That man had so much energy. And second,
Dude,
he was animated.
No, it wasn't even monster. It was fucking cocaine.
Yeah. Actually correct. Now that I think about it.
Yeah, it was like actual cocaine, dude. I don't know what you're talking about. Like, no, it actually was like Robin Williams had like a bit of a drug problem, like back in the day. And, you know, it was like, I love Robin Williams, right? Because he was great, but still.
He did have.
Like,
may he rest in peace.
Dude, I think he's mad because he turned down the role of Neo in The Matrix to play, like, in Wild Wild West.
Oh, that might be it then.
Yeah.
But I will say this. Will Smith says that his best movies is the original Men in Black and The Pursuit of Happiness.
Yeah, I can't watch The Pursuit of Happiness because it makes me really sad. Because even though it's like a good ending, even though it's like a good ending, like a good rags to riches show, he becomes like, he goes from being in strict down poverty to being a part of the wealthy class because he becomes a stockbroker, like one of those wealthy stockbrokers. And I'm just like, great. So you went from being oppressed to being an oppressor. So hooray, thanks.
Well, I thought you were going to bring up the train bathroom scene. That subway bathroom scene was powerful. That hurt me.
It was. And it was just essentially he was suffering. And now he made it and he did his job, right? But I still feel sad watching the movie. I don't want to feel that way, right? Like, my parents forced me to watch it when we went to a movie theater when it came out. And I just remember being depressed for like, well, I'm always depressed, but I remember being like more depressed than usual. And I was like, yeah, I'm not into this. I'm really not. Like, there you go.
And
great. Movie's great.
The movie's fantastic. And my last story is Sora got announced for Kingdom Hearts, which means that I, in my prediction, was completely wrong because I didn't even consider Sora. But I will say Doom Guy is still in the game, so I was half right.
I don't know why they didn't just make Doom Guy into the game too. Why not just add like 3 characters?
Honestly, Sora makes in terms of how difficult it would be, Sora's the most difficult because fucking Disney owns them in partnership with Square Enix. The motherfuckers who are like, fine, you can have Cloud. Fine, you can have a stage. You only get 2 songs.
Yeah, well, you know what? I think that that's fine. I honestly think that
good for Cloud.
Sora makes
good for
sense.
Sora.
Especially because Kingdom Hearts is all about mixing, right? It's mixing Disney and Square Enix, things that don't go together. So mixing like all these different other video game characters, like fucking Banjo and Kazooie in a Mario like series, or I don't know, dude, Minecraft Steve, Ooh. Right?
Oh yeah.
So obviously right, like it makes sense on like a level, and I think that it's fine. I think Sora's a good character. Yeah. So I think he's a good one for that kind of fit, but there's no more characters. This is it for the DLC.
And now that Smash is dead, we will bring on the new life with destruction. With all destruction comes creation. So Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl, baby! And and with that, yes, I bought the game for myself on my birthday too, and it's fun. And with that, that's it, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning into another episode of Nerd Hell. We got a bunch of links in the description if you want more of us. And
do we have a Twitter?
Yes, we do. You can find us at NerdHellPodcast.com.
Do we have an email? Yes, we do.
You can email us at nerdhellpodcast@gmail.com.
Yes, we try to answer all emails, which we've only had like 2. So there you go.
And 2 is better than 1. You can be the 3rd if you're fast enough.
If you got it. We're even thinking about maybe doing a Discord, so keep your eyes out for that one. Mm-hmm. So yeah. Hey.
And with that, we want to give our very special go to hell. I'm gonna give it to EA Games.
You're gonna give it to EA Games, man. That motorcycle's fucking loud. You know what I hate about living in Texas are all the fucking motorcycle douchebags. But still.
So you're gonna give it to Motorcycle Man?
No, not even Motorcycle Man. Actually, I think it was because we have a lot of like people where I live that do the like, car mods where they make their car sound loud, like louder.
God damn it.
And yeah, like because you used to live where I used to live, and it's like very apparent when they drive by because it's like it's like a cow screaming constantly. So yeah, I don't know. My go to hell is not towards those people because I feel like they're just doing it because they want to have a moral expression or whatever. But my special go to hell is probably going to be to Koichi Sugiyama. See you in hell, my guy.
Koichi from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. No. Everybody have a good night. Bye.
Bye.